And showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here for another episode of Channel Pro 5-Minute Roundup. Look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I'm executive editor of the Channel Pro Network, also a co-host of this fine program. I am joined this week, as I am every week, by your other co-host, Eric Simpson, a business transformation and improvement advisor to MSPs and other IT providers. Eric, you're all dressed up. How goes it?
It goes well, Rich. Yes, I've been in webinar presentation mode today. So yes, you gotta dress the part when you're doing the one-to-many presentations.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is good. This is good. You're warmed up. You're ready to go. You're on your game. We've got you at your best.
Yes, we do. We do. I'm caffeinated too. I'm excited. I'm excited for our tip of the week, especially today. I'm geared up for that, as well as, of course, our important news item today. Very, very cool news from Microsoft, right, Rich?
Very interesting news. Yeah, so this week Microsoft held its Inspire conference. That's its annual partner conference. Second year in a row, they held it online for obvious reasons, but there was there was a ton actually of news that came out of this conference, but one announcement in particular that I think is going to be very important, very interesting to Channel Pro readers, and that's the launch of Windows 365. Which, according to Microsoft, gives birth to an entirely new product category. They're saying this is the industry's very first quote unquote cloud PC. It's an entire Windows desktop that is 100% streamed out to more or less whatever device you choose. That can be a traditional Windows-based kind of endpoint, desktop or laptop. It could be an iOS device, an Android device, a Mac, a Linux device. It's coming to you over the cloud. Now, there is no, as far as I'm aware, there's no offline experience, which is going to make this a product that is potentially very appealing for some people and really not workable for others. But for a lot of companies, especially in the era of work from home and hybrid work, the anytime, anywhere, or mobile kind of workforce, a product that will stream to all the devices that you use and that you can get to anywhere you can get to the internet is going to be very appealing. Now, we've spoken, I'm sure, on this show. I know we've written a bunch at Channel Pro about the product that was originally known as Windows Virtual Desktop and then renamed just a few weeks ago Azure Virtual Desktop by Microsoft. And so there will be some people here who are wondering, what's the difference between this and that? Hasn't Microsoft been doing streaming Windows desktops for a while? And Windows 365 is, in fact, built on top of the Azure Virtual Desktop platform. The difference is that it is embedded inside the Microsoft 365 infrastructure. So in terms of how you order it and provision it and so on, it's really just part of that corner, that area of the Microsoft cloud, and it's just kind of adding another product onto a Microsoft 365 SKU. From a management standpoint, there's some simplicity there. In general, simplicity is actually probably the key theme here. So in order to use Azure Virtual Desktop, you've got to have some familiarity with VDI and virtualization. If you do, you're going to continue to be interested in AVD because there's a lot of flexibility and configurability there that you're not going to get with Windows 365. But if you're looking for something that is easier to deliver to your customers and easier for them to get into, easier for you to get into, Windows 365 is going to be very much worth looking into. The other big difference that I think is going to be important is that Azure Virtual Desktops are priced on a consumption basis. So that means, depending on how much consumption there is, what your customers are paying is going to vary month to month. With Windows 365, you're paying a flat amount every month. And there are actually two components to what you're paying. You have to essentially purchase a cloud device. And at launch is August 2nd, by the way, there will apparently be 12 different SKUs, virtual PCs, essentially in the cloud with different combinations of processors and memory and storage. So you're going to pay X amount a month for that cloud PC. You're going to pay another few dollars a month for the Windows software itself on top of that. But you and your customers will know exactly what they owe every month instead of having to kind of guess using, optimization tools and potentially underpay or the like. So some key differences, some key advantages, some important disadvantages as well, but another Microsoft Cloud product for the continually growing Microsoft Cloud channel to sell, Eric.
Yeah, dare I say, game changer? It's interesting the timing, right? Because we're right on the cusp of 5G. We know that through the pandemic, the business owners' perception of cloud security, remote workforce has really evolved, where over half of business owners that responded, surveyed by a recent McKinsey survey, indicated that remote workforce and migrations to the cloud and cybersecurity, those changes that they had to almost reactively make to continue operating through the pandemic, over half said that a lot of those will stick. So that means that they're going to have, they're going to continue to offer a remote workforce for some of their, staff and things like that. And, Rich, the challenge that the IT pros had, the channel pros had through the pandemic, was trying to make sure that these folks at home had a decent laptop or desktop or whatever with the right security and the right connectivity and all this other stuff. I mean, can you imagine if this was available then, when they could maybe repurpose a kind of family computer, knowing that they're logging into a cloud PC that already has all the right security and everything configured, and it wasn't a big challenge to get it provisioned through, Azure virtual desktops and things like that. I think it's really interesting. I think the timing of this just missed a little bit, of opportunity from the pandemic, but certainly is poised to be very attractive. And again, I think the other side of the fence for the channel pros is just keeping up with that, consumption model pricing and, billing and invoicing for clients, that we have to do with the current Azure virtual desktops. I think that simplifies this, goes a long way to simplifying this and allowing those business owners to be able to forecast what their spend is going to be when they start, maybe mixing and matching some of these, maybe, depending upon the config, maybe it makes more sense for some folks to have Azure virtual desktop, but then maybe for other staff, right, that just need, basic a Windows operating system so they can run their Microsoft licensed Office products on, makes a lot of sense.
No, I think that's exactly right. I think, there will be a lot of learning and a lot of thinking that channel pros need to do in terms of determining which of those two products is the right fit for a given customer. Broadly speaking, if you really do want or need to take advantage of some of that flexibility and configurability, the ability to get in there deeper into the settings and customize an environment for a particular customer, you'll probably net out going with Azure Virtual Desktop. But if you're just looking for something that you can get up and running relatively quickly and easily, Windows 365 is going to be a very appealing option. And, during the pandemic, because of the challenges that you were just identifying, Eric, Windows Virtual Desktop, Azure Virtual Desktop adoption actually went up enormously. And, so now there's something that's even easier, basically, not just for the end users, but especially for the partners to think about, an easier way to satisfy that need without having to, invest time and effort in getting to know Azure, learning how to set up an Azure Active Directory if you hadn't done that before. Some of the, setup that you needed to do to use and manage Azure Virtual Desktop, this is all kind of taken care of for you by Microsoft now.
Yeah, and I think, hardware independence. I mean, you mentioned it'll run on Mac OSs, it'll run on, other devices that you wouldn't, normally think will be running Windows desktops on, without having some, big hoops and hurdles to jump through, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Well, you know what, Eric? People are heading back to the office. That's one way in which some of the challenges, the work from home issues and pandemic issues you were talking about before, are beginning to change. But there is another way in which life is starting to get a little bit back to normal here, and that's the subject of your tip of the week.
Absolutely, Rich. And knocking on wood, tip of the week is, start thinking about attending live events again. And this is, I've spoken to a few partners this week that are excited that they are traveling to go to live events again. And it got me kind of excited too, Rich. It's like, oh my goodness, I felt like I've been in, this cave for, the better part of the last year and a half. And just thinking about, some of the speaking opportunities that I have coming up where I'll be speaking live. It was interesting because the first thought I had speaking with a partner today saying, oh, yes, I'm going to this event. I'm so excited. I said, well, you think, you feel a little rusty? I mean, it's been a while since you've been out networking and doing these types of things. I said, I've got my first couple of engagements coming up. I'm thinking, yeah, I may need to, just get back into that mindset and that excitement and that rhythm. But the tip of the week is, hey, these things are coming now. And plan what you're going to go participate in, right? It's just kind of those best practices for event attendance and making sure you get the most return out of your investment, right? So analyzing, everything about the event, the agenda, the speakers, marking down what sessions you'll be attending, making sure that you take some notes to say, what is it you're looking to get out of each one of these sessions? What is it that you're looking to get out of maybe there's vendors that you haven't engaged with, certainly from a live perspective in a while. What vendors do you want to go speak to in the vendor hall? What are you trying to achieve? Be prepared, get your, it's been a while, right? So get your, update your business cards. If you've got a new title or something, make sure you bring a lot of those with you. It's kind of like one of the things that, there's still a few, folks, and I've been victim to this too. Oh my goodness, I ran out of business cards. I didn't bring enough. Make sure you're ready to go and are in the right mindset. Take good notes, have engagement, enjoy it, and make sure you're getting value from your participation. But Rich, it's around the corner. I feel it coming.
Well, in my case, I have actually rounded that corner. I've had an opportunity to go to 3 face-to-face in-person events within the last 6 weeks or so. I say this as somebody who helps plan and host virtual events. Virtual events are great, especially ChannelPro virtual events. They're phenomenal. I encourage you to attend. But there are certain things that can't be recreated in a virtual event. And I've been reminded of that by attending the in-person events, the informal, unexpected, impromptu encounters and conversations, the peer-to-peer networking, the stuff that happens outside the session room. We deliver great content to you inside the virtual session room, if you will, at a ChannelPro online event. But nobody has really figured out how to create the rest of the event experience online. And it really is very, very valuable to you and your business to do that. And so another thought I would just toss in there quickly is through the years, I have noticed consistently that the most successful channel pros that we know at this magazine attend events. It's not easy to do. I totally get that. You've got a lot on your plate and you've got to just kind of make the time to attend an event in person, but there is enormous ROI there, and people who are willing to make that investment in learning are the ones, the companies that tend to be leading edge. And then the other thing you said that I think is really, really key, because I've heard this from a lot of people as well, is you really do need to go into any event that you attend with a plan. Go in knowing why you're going, what you hope to accomplish, and how you're going to accomplish it. Because otherwise you can wind up spending a lot of time listening to things, talking to people and so on, come back with some business cards, but not really know what you've accomplished, what to follow up on. So, to make the most of your time, go in knowing why you're attending, what you're trying to accomplish, and how you're going to accomplish it.
Yeah, no, great insight, Rich. And I guess, thinking and listening to you, one final bonus, tip, please fill out every survey that you get. The event organizers and the sponsors of the events need that feedback to make these better for you moving forward. So rate the speakers, rate the venue, rate your satisfaction overall. I mean, provide that feedback. So many times, Rich, we do a session, I speak at a lot of events and don't get a lot of, survey feedback back, right? So make sure that if you're going to invest your valuable time, energy, and effort and have a plan that you give the event promoters and sponsors your candid feedback. We want that feedback. We want it to be candid. Don't sugarcoat it, right? Be professional, okay? But let us know what you think so that we can continue to improve these experiences for everybody.
Totally and completely echo that. You're absolutely right. We tend not to get as much feedback as we would like at these events, and we absolutely pay very close attention to the feedback that we get. We want it to be as honest as possible, and it really does influence what happens in the future. So if attending events is not a one-time thing for you, you will increase your odds of getting value from the next event that you attend if you provide feedback on what you like, what you want, what you need. Well, Eric, that leaves us with time for just one more story this week on the 5-minute roundup. I should have told you actually before we started recording, I'm throwing a switcheroo on you here. I've got a different story that I want to talk about other than the one that I had indicated we would discuss, because I just saw this morning and I'm really kind of enjoying this particular story. It involves a gentleman named Louis Angelino of Barrington, New Jersey. He's got a job at a liquor store, but he's been cleaning homes recently to get a little added income. One of his clients said, hey, come on out to my townhouse and clean it for me on thus and such a day. I'll leave a key out for you under the welcome mat. Louis goes out, lets himself in, cleans the place top to bottom. Took him about 2.5 hours. He then took a few extra minutes to play with the owner's cats a little bit. And right at that moment, the owner called him up and said, hey, how's it going? And Louis said, it's going great. I've cleaned the whole place and now I'm playing with your cats. And the owner said, I don't have cats. At which point Louis wondered where the heck he was. It turns out he went to the wrong address, found a key under the mat, let himself in, and cleaned the place up thoroughly. So I guess everybody wins in this scenario, except Louis, who spent 2.5 hours on uncompensated labor. But can you imagine coming home from work, Eric, and discovering that your home has been thoroughly cleaned for free by a stranger who let himself in?
Oh, man. 2 thoughts immediately come to mind. I'm glad it sounds like there was no security cameras, right? Because Louis could have found himself in a very different scenario. And heck, Louis, I wouldn't have faulted you one bit if you left an invoice for those services on your way out the door once you figured out what had happened.
Yeah, get those addresses down carefully, people. These small differences matter.
And ask for referrals, Louis, too, because, if you did a good job, maybe you picked up a new client. Who knows?
Well, that is all the time we've got this week on the 5-minute roundup. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. We are both a video and a podcast these days. If you're watching the video right now and you're a fan of podcasts, go on out to the podcatcher, the podcast source of your choice, and look for us. You will find us on all the big ones. Please subscribe, and if you can, take an extra second or two if you like the show, and maybe give us a 5-star rating. It'll actually help other people like you discover the program a little bit more easily. If you're listening to the podcast right now, why not check us out on video? We're on YouTube. Easiest way to find us there is go to the ChannelPro Network channel and become a subscriber. If you take an extra second or two to click that bell icon, you'll actually get notified when the new episodes go up. To read more about Windows 365 and other things happening in the industry, get terrific business growth advice for your company, your destination should be channelpronetwork.com every day, because there is great new content going up for you there every day. And to learn more about Eric and the work he does with his clients, please visit ericksimpson.com. That is ERICK Simpson.com. So once again, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to be back again in a week with another episode for you. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the rest of your week. Eric and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.